Welcome everyone to a very special service this Sunday, June the 10th, 2012. As you know, I usually hold our service on YouTube and at our live broadcast, live stream on Saturday on the Sabbath. But as many of you know, some of you don't know, I was out of town. I was in Freeland, Michigan yesterday, and we spent 12 hours. It was very hot in the searing heat, but it was well worth it. It was so hot, even under the canopy. We had waters in a cooler, and get a water out, we get a few drinks, and it was already too warm to drink. So we get pretty dehydrated and pretty hot, but it was well worth the trip. What I want to talk to you about, we're going to do announcements in a moment, but what this service is about is for young people. It's for everyone, but how do we reach today's young people? We got, oh my goodness, we got Christian rock, Christian rap, and is it of the devil? We're going to talk about that. But announcements, everything got, before we get into our service, no music today. There's a reason, no music. Announcements today, and only this Sunday. Normally we will not have anything on Sunday, but at 12 o'clock noon will be our live worship, our live service over at Tiny Chat, our World Church Online, live interaction in the chat room. And I'll put the link below, trumpetofgodministries.com. And tonight, 9 o'clock p.m., our main show, our live broadcast, which is usually held on Saturday, but we're going to hold it today, just because I was unavailable yesterday. And we're going to have free-for-all Sunday night, so if you have questions or comments or whatever we're discussing, if you want to ask me a question, you can come up. The green room will be open. You can come up on the monitor and voice your comment, your question, or your concern, and that will be 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, what this service for is for everyone. It's not just for young people, but it's about how do we reach young people today. We've got rock and roll music and the Illuminati and demonic idolatry and terrible things in today's rock and roll music. And rap music is degrading women. It's promoting gang activity, gang life, killing, drugs, and that's what the young people today are listening to. So how do we reach out to young people? Now I want to talk about Christian rock a little bit and Christian rap, but believe it or not, I was young once. I was a teenager. But back in the 60s and in the 1970s, things were not quite as fast-paced as they are today. It was getting there, but it wasn't quite as fast-paced as today. I remember when we had the big old bulky, even before, but we had something brand new, big old bulky 8-track tapes that went in your little Ford Pinto. You remember the little Ford Pinto? Then when cassette tapes came out, oh my goodness. I remember sitting on the floor, or laying on the floor, watching the Flintstones in black and white, and there was no color TV yet. I remember when colored TV came out. We thought it was the end of the world. It was unbelievable. But times were different back then. People sat down at the supper table together, and they prayed together, they said grace, and we had different, it was a different time. It wasn't as fast as today. And growing up in a Christian household, my mom had passed away and my grandmother raised us, and we had a different set of rules. We actually had rules back then. We had chores to do, and they actually had to be done. And when she said, when you got in trouble and she said, you are grounded, there wasn't no, well, I feel bad, I'm not going to ground you. You were grounded. And she said you were grounded for a week, no television, no friends after school. You were grounded. When you got home from school, and that's not happening today, especially because parents aren't even home. And both parents are out working, or there's a lot of single-parent homes. And the children are left basically to play video games and do things probably they shouldn't be doing because there's not that family values and morals today. But just to show you the difference in the time that I grew up in, I'd get home from work and my best friend Alan Tackett, his father was a preacher. Now Alan's a minister today, and so is his brothers. But they would all be waiting on the porch. I couldn't come out because I had my chore list to do. I had to finish doing the dishes. They wanted to come in and help to hurry me up. Oh no, you're not even allowed in the house. You can stand on the sidewalk or stand on the porch until he's done. So I'm sure a lot of you people today can relate to that. And at a certain time, I had to have if I had homework, that had to be done before I could go out and play. By the time I got done doing everything, there wasn't a lot of playtime left. But things are not like that today. Back in my day, we had Christian music, the good old gospel music that we still have today, the old Rugged Cross, and such inspirational songs. But especially in the 1970s, people my age were listening to rock and roll. And me being a drummer and just loving music and getting into drums early, I wanted to play rock and roll as well. But I wasn't influenced by the drug taking, just a different upbringing, because we came from a Christian home. A lot of my friends did not come from a Christian home. It was already, the trend was turning, and they were turning to other things, and they kind of already were moving God out of the home. So I had friends that listened to Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple going way back, and rock and roll. But I didn't do the things they did. They had no music. They had no Christian music back then that would sounded a little bit upbeat and rock and roll to inspire them. All they had was, just before heavy metal, that's all they had was Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and Jim Croce and things like that. So I had a lot of friends. My brother now, I don't know how, rest his soul, I don't know how else to put it, he was a nerd. He didn't want to go out of the house because he didn't want any friends because they were taking drugs or they were doing things they shouldn't do. And he wanted to finish his education. He went on to college, and but he wasn't an introvert. In school, he was in school plays. It's just he knew what these young people were doing, and he didn't know how to not do it and still be cool, I guess. Where me, I was playing varsity football. I played a lot of hockey. Growing up in Michigan, that's all we had to do. I can't skate at all now. I couldn't even put on a pair of skates. But in the cold Michigan winters, in the winter, all we had to do, we went to Seacott Park, we had our skates, we were a hockey team, and we played all-out hockey. I remember skating backwards 100 miles an hour and stopping on a dime. I couldn't do that today. But I was into sports. And in the summer, we played box hockey. We just loved hockey. We played box hockey. And I played baseball, varsity football. I was on the offense and on the defense. I was into all the sports, so I had a lot of friends. I remember getting hired at a very young age at McDonald's, and I never had to work at the McDonald's. They just wanted me on the baseball team. And here, you know, when you're young, you got dreams you're going to be a pro ball player and all this. But you know, the Lord leads you in different directions. So I had a lot of friends, but I didn't do what they did. I would hang out with them, but when they got into it's time to smoke pot and do the things they did, I would not join them. And when you're done, if you want to do other things, you come over, and they did. And you know, I still remember this day. His name was John Sloan. He went into the Army, and we lost touch over the years. He had real long hair. I had long hair. And he says, you know, I look up to you because you're not like anyone else. You're not a follower. You are your own person, and you're not easily misled, and I don't have what it takes. I don't have what you have. And I told him what I have is I have God, and I have Jesus, and I believe, and I know right from wrong, and I know it kind of seems cool to follow the crowd, but I'm just not following that crowd. Not that I mean I don't love you. I do. You're all my friends, but I just don't agree with what you're doing. Doesn't mean I don't want to be your friend. But today, things are so different. So now we have to find a way. How do we reach the young people? Now, like I said, when I was growing up, we didn't have that. My very first job, to show you how the Lord has led me to this ministry, was I was still in high school, and I forget what program funded this, but I had a part-time job right after school, through the school. I'd get out of school at 3 o'clock, and I'd go down West Jefferson and River Rouge, where I lived, to the Outreach Crisis Center. It was a suicide and drug prevention center, and of all things, I answered the phones to these people in crisis, and I would hurry up and get 911 on the phone, try to keep them talking. Well, I got a psychologist on the phone. Young people my age, that's what really struck me. These are people my age, and some older. A lot of them I knew from high school, and they had took an overdose of drugs. And I'm trying to keep them on the line while I get them help. And I could see how Satan worked, how the devil was just working fast and furious to take these young people and turn them into a life of sin and a life of drugs. So I had first-hand knowledge. And then later, as I grew, back in 1986, I started working with young people in Detroit, Michigan. A lot of people that were living back then, the gang life, the gang drugs, and again, rock and roll, rap music. I remember when that first started coming out, and that's what the people's interest were in. Michael Jackson, when he came out with his songs, and all the young people where I was trying to reach these people, we had that one white glove on, and that's what inspired them. They didn't have any Christian songs to inspire them. So I still remember working with young people, and gang members would come in and bring their children and say, well, can you do something? I don't want them to turn out like me. And my wife's in the other room, and she can tell you, I had one day in a Sprint store, somebody staring me down, and I was getting very uncomfortable, and they were just looking at me and staring at me. And like, oh my goodness, I don't know, what is this about? But it was someone that I had talked to back. I believe they were like 14 years old, and they just thanked me. They just thanked me because they got away from that lifestyle, and they didn't turn anymore to drugs or a gang life, and they had hope, and they finished school and went on to college, and now have children of their own. And that's what I'm trying to do right here on YouTube and on my world churches, to reach everyone, not just those that are saved, those of us that are Christians and are saved and have been saved for a long time. I want to bring you hope and keep you encouraged, but I'm trying to reach a wide variety of people, especially the young people today. And how do we do that? How do we do that? And I have seen the influence of Christian rock and rap, to where they're not talking about drugs, stairways to heaven that lead you to hell. They are using Scripture, and they're talking about the glory of God and the love of Jesus, but in an upbeat music. And young people are listening, and they are accepting Jesus. Is it of the devil? Is it demonic? I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't know everything. I am nobody. I don't know everything. I remember when, well, my wife was head of a youth leader, and we had went to, I think it was Flint, Michigan, where they had this rap artist Flame. And I seen the young people that would normally be listening to this degrading women and drugs and gang life, hearing this rap artist Flame talking about God, the love of Jesus and salvation. And they were coming to salvation. They were listening. They were finally listening, something they could relate to. So how do we reach the young people? And that's my question today in the service. How do we reach the young people? We're not, the family values and morals are gone. Children are playing video games. You can't correct your child anymore. You can't spank them, because that's child abuse and you'll be arrested. Things have really, really changed. How are we going to reach the young people if we can't get down on their level? Just want to end with some, and that's my question today. Christian rock, Christian rap, is it really wrong if it is reaching the young people? I'm not a stuffed shirt. I think if we can reach out to the young people and get them to hear about the love of God, then they will get away from the Christian rap and start different type of praise music. And I've seen that happen. But how else are we going to get on their level and at least minister to them? Some inspiration for young people today. 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. No matter what, don't let anyone look down on you. But set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. Don't be a follower. Be a leader. Set an example for your friends. And that's what I think I did when I was young. Set an example for your friends. That it is okay, it is cool to love God and to love Jesus. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 through 14. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and to not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me where you seek me with all your heart. When you seek me with all your heart, you will find me. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back from captivity, bring you away out of the world of drugs and rock and roll and rap that is promoting a negative demonic lifestyle. I will gather you from the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile. So how do we reach today's young people? That's the question. Because my ministry, I'm not here for the saved. I'm here to reach out to the lost, to give them hope, to tell them about the love of God so God can give them hope and a future. God bless you. TrumpetOfGodMinistries.com is my ministry if you feel led by the Holy Spirit to help me reach a lot of the youth of the inner cities. And we can't do it without your help. Leave me comments. God bless.